Welcome to the Sacred Geometry of Consciousness. For more than 33 years, your show hosts, Gregory and Gail Hogue, have been internationally known leaders in creating sacred geometric tools for expanding loving consciousness and well-being. Listen in now as they share practical applications of sacred geometry in everyday life.
Welcome and thank you for joining us today. What we want to continue with is how universe is connecting with us, and today we want to focus more on the different ways that universe does communicate with us and ways that we can culture that in our daily life. And so what I'm referring to are things that I think we're all familiar with, but now we want to focus on it even more so, because obviously when you look at what science is telling us, that 99.99999% of everything that we think of as physical is really space and energy. And that's where the bulk of us resides. And so that higher, finer part of ourselves wants to communicate with us in the physical and support us in our process. I know when I was younger, back in the days when I was in high school, I started seeing how universe would connect with me sometimes in very strong physical ways, almost like the proverbial Mack truck. You know, when we talk about that metaphor, when it takes something really hard hitting us. And physically, things did hit me pretty hard in my head for a while. I would get hit by a 2x4. I would get hit by a walnut dropping. I would get hit by all kinds of things, and even had to go to the emergency room to get bandaged up. But slowly I started realizing universe is trying to get my attention around certain things that I'm doing, that certain things are supporting me and certain things aren't. And I discovered that it's better to start listening and start paying more attention on the subtle levels rather than physically getting hit where it hurts. I mean, it certainly got my attention and I learned to listen, but that was the point. How to listen more subtly, how to listen to things coming in to my reality where the bigger part of me was trying to help me focus on my next steps and what I was needing to do.
I think we've all had those experiences one way or another, and like you said, some of them are more gentle than others. We live in a very dense world, and here we are, these magnificent spiritual beings. We have a soul that is wanting to really express itself in this physical relationship. And that soul is so filled with light. It is such a high vibration. It's quite difficult to be able to really allow it to find all the nooks and crannies and edges of our physical life. And yet that is part of the journey. So the more that we become aware that in essence, everything is divine wisdom. Everything is that beyond the physical, beyond the hard-edged world. There's so much. And the universe and our beings are really all one. So the more that we recognize our unity, our oneness, our co-creation with all that is, we begin to elevate our perceptions, because we're given stimulation in this physical world. We learn how to use those basic physical senses. And yet, as we advance with our evolution, what becomes even more important is utilizing those higher perceptions, our intuition, that inner knowing, the serendipitous experiences that happen in our lives. All of those kinds of experiences are the universe wanting to communicate with us. And when I say the universe wanting to communicate, it's interesting because there aren't really words in our language, in the English language anyhow, which is the only language that I really know well. It's a universe that we're getting to learn and experience more of. And the more we open ourselves up to that, the more amazing that it becomes. As an artist, it was my job to kind of go beyond my everyday perceptions and learn about what universe is displaying, how it's communicating, how it's getting my attention, what its messages are. And I'd feel it. It wasn't an intellectual journey. It was at a very deep feeling level. So my emotions were exposed. I felt more vulnerable, more raw. In order to be in the creative moment, it was important for me to expose myself more, to be able to see what I hadn't seen before, and perhaps that I couldn't form concise understandings of. It was important for me to be able to go beyond the precision of understanding and instead just allow universe to be present in my life, which meant allowing myself to step into being present. And there's so many details that are revealed. There's so much information. There's so much stimulation that I think it's important to try to make sense of it on one hand, and on the other hand, to play with it, to become the creative artist with it, to allow ourselves to experience the joy, the pain, the confusion, the knowing, the wisdom, all the different levels. Universe is communicating to us so that we become more in that oneness. We have a greater presence. We have a greater sense of appreciation and gratitude for all that we are a part of.
Something you were saying, Gail, when you were talking about being an artist and getting in touch with your feelings, that's one of the strongest ways that higher self, the biggest part of our being, is really using all the time to communicate to us, and that is through our emotional body. The emotional body is kind of the interface with the higher dimensions. So when we get feedback from that part of our being, sometimes we feel it in the pit of our stomach, and we go, that just doesn't feel right, or that puts me on edge, and therefore we back off from doing something. Sometimes we'll do something and we'll say, I should have known better, because I already felt that. I felt that in the pit of my stomach. I felt my heart flutter. And so when things like that happen, pay attention to those guideposts. Pay attention when your body is giving you that negative feedback where fear is coming in a little bit. Fear to watch something. Fear to pay attention that there might be a negative thing about to unleash, and you're to back off from it, to back out of the way. And yet, spirit really coming from higher self, coming from that place of love, the true emotional interaction from spirit and from higher self is the joy part, the happiness part, the loving part. So when you feel that love for something, when you feel that attraction to another person, a place, something that you're doing, when you feel that joy, for no reason other than just being present with what you're doing, and it gives you joy, that's really spirit coming through and saying, right on, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Do more of it. Find ways to culture that. Look for that joy. And you see, that's why when you have these different programs today that we all have taken part in to manifest things, when you really want to manifest something outside of getting your vision and clarity together, you need to bring in an emotion that will invigorate that vision, that will really bring high energy into it. And that high energy is usually something like joy, happiness, gratitude. And so you bring that in when you want to manifest things, and it's spirit's way to begin with of giving you the little push in the rear end saying, yes, keep going for this. We're going to keep pumping you with joy and love as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And if you feel that waver, if you feel like something is starting to feel negative, then you know, okay, the reverse is happening. Something is telling me to back off.
This is all a reflection that we live in a vibrational universe. And you've probably heard Gregory and I talk about this, that everything is energy, everything is vibration. We are entrained to take in the physical, and yet what is really dominant in all of life, when you get to the essence of what it all is vibration. It is energy. It is space. It is all that is beyond what is physical. And what's very interesting with all of that, as Gregory was just talking about manifesting, is that we are playing like a composition, a musical composition. And any good musical composition or any good piece of art is not going to have one straight line of vibration or tone or color or, all of the kinds of elements that make up anything that is so in life. It is a culmination of so many different aspects, the ups and downs, the highs and the lows, the lights and the darks, the different gradients of color and texture and sound. All of that is what we are participating with. And yet, as a human being, we are an instrument that can determine what is dominant, what is the dominant theme that you want to experience in your life. How do you want to create, or what do you want to create in your relationship with this magnificent universe, with this incredible planet Earth that we're on, and all of the people and all of the opportunities? And so when we are communicating on a higher level with what we say, communicating with the universe, we're taking in all of what it is and we're filtering it. And hopefully what we can do is filter it through our higher being, our heart, and synthesize it, bring it into a place where it finds its foundation. It finds the real balance within. Because again, balance is moving to the highs and the lows, the different extremes of what we experience in life. And when we come to a place of really listening and knowing and communicating with the universe, in a moment we can be aware and we can bring ourselves back into an integrated place of balance, of love, of knowing, of creation or co-creation, that then gives us the ability to make choices in our life, to come back into that centered place. It's really interesting that in terms of manifesting, what most people don't realize is that when you really look at the full scale of what people are vibrating with about a particular aspect of their life, whether it's love, relationship, prosperity, how you show up in the world, your work life, what is most important is the continuity. And that means being able to self-correct. And universe is always helping you do that. Those signs are always poking and prodding and going, take a look at this. Here's an opportunity. What are you going to do with this? Bring it in through the heart center and into that place of love and self-respect and truly that place of gratitude, appreciation, and unconditional love for yourself and all that is.
So you see what we're talking about. This is so wonderful, Gail. Understanding all of that and what we're sharing with you, there are many different ways to look at how spirit communicates. It's important for you to start discovering your unique ways of communicating with the universe. If that is a feeling in your body, if that's a swaying, a movement, a certain vibration, a certain tingling, it's something for you to start to recognize and then start to cultivate it. Start to work with that more and more. Start asking simple questions and be proactive in developing these aspects of your being, these aspects of subtle communication, such that you start getting feedback. And when you're proactive, you watch for the answers that you get and ask simple questions in the beginning. Things that are very personal about what foods to eat, what places to go, what simple things to do. Just work with spirit in a playful, joyful way and watch how spirit feeds back into your life. It's important to realize, though, that you are the most important element in this equation. And what I mean by that is, I remember once meeting someone that said they had to get up at 4 a.m. every day because that's when their guidance wanted to communicate with them. Now it makes sense, 4 a.m. is a very quiet time of the day. And Gail has shared with me in the past that when she painted in New York, sometimes the best time to paint was about 4 a.m. when the city was quiet. So that makes sense. However, this person that I was talking to was starting to feel very ragged on the edges. They were starting to feel stressed and out of sorts. And it was because they were following a schedule that had them getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning when it didn't fit in with their lifestyle. So consequently, it's important to realize that you have the ability to set the conditions for spirit. In short, I suggested to that person that they have spirit communicate with them at a different time of day that's more convenient for their needs, and they could be in a quiet space. And that's what they started doing, and it worked just fine. You see, we're here to grow our spiritual body in meshing in with our physical body, and that ultimately we are here to be of service to all. And yet, you are part of all. You are part of that which you are serving. So it is very important to put yourself always into the mix, so that as you are serving all is here to serve you. And you must keep it in balance, the inflow and the outflow, the opportunity to fulfill all aspects of your life, so that you are operating from a very healthy and a balanced and loving place.
That's so true, Gregory. Thank you. I think this would be a wonderful time now to take the essence of what we've been speaking about and the qualities of communicating with universe. And let's do just a short meditation. And in that, we can anchor in some of this deep knowing and yearning within ourself to take our next steps into those relational connections with universe and the oneness. So let's start by taking a nice deep breath. And in that breath, just feel through your body, through that inner knowing, through your third eye, and most importantly, through your heart. In that heart-centered place, feel the nourishment, feel the connection, feel the presence of your soul in relationship to this divine universe, to all that is. And take another deep breath now, opening yourself up even one step more to that place of universal connection, to the oneness, and to the gratitude for all that is and all that is coming into your life. It is precious. It is wonderful. Open your heart in a joyful and welcoming way to universe and all the love that you bring in through your life, through your body, through your higher knowing. And feel within your body that you are like a resonance chamber, and you can determine through that subtle being that you are, you can determine what is for the highest good and what may not be. You are a tuning fork for that. And vibrationally, you choose through your love, through your heart, through that higher knowing, and through your vision. You get to choose. Now, imagine that universe is bringing you all different kinds of beautiful signals, beautiful opportunities in your life, and you are listening. You are feeling it. You are resonating with it. And you are in gratitude for what is there. It feels wonderful to have that sense of peace and oneness and presence. You are loved. Feel that absolute and complete presence of love, unconditionally available to you. And now you are participating in it. It is who you are. You are bringing that into the expression of oneness and unity of all that is. It is brilliant, and you love it. Breathe it in. You are communicating, you are feeling. It is a give and take, and you are in that perfect balance with who you are, the highest level of your beings. Magnificent. Take another deep breath and let that just assimilate. Let that cultivate through your body. Let that be in perfection. And now take one more deep breath and feel the energy now flowing all the way down your body and into your feet, channeling down into the earth, being present, being connected, and loving. Pure, unconditional love. And again, one more breath, and on this breath and the out breath, start feeling your body waking up again, coming back into the present moment with that absolute love and knowing that you are present and resonating with universe and aware at a higher level.
Thank you and blessings.
Namaste.